You remember yesterday. You remember last week. You remember your childhood. But here's the thing you probably haven't noticed. Those memories don't feel the same as right now. Right now feels sharp, clear, immediate, real. The past feels soft, blurred, like you're watching it through frosted glass. The farther back you go, the more dreamlike it becomes. Early childhood memories might as well be scenes from a movie someone told you about. Faces without context, emotions without reasons. Fragments. Why? Most people never ask this question. They just accept it. Of course, the past feels different. It happened before. It's over. It's gone. But that answer explains nothing. It's just relabeling the mystery. Because here's what should bother you. The past actually happened. It was real as this moment right now. You experienced it with the same neurons, the same senses, the same consciousness you have now. So why does it feel so distant? Why does it feel less real than the present? The answer is not psychological. It's not about nostalgia or emotion or the way your mind romanticizes things. The answer is physical. It's about the fundamental structure of time itself, about entropy, about the laws that govern how information moves through the universe. And when you understand what's really happening, you realize something unsettling. The past isn't just distant. The past is structurally inaccessible in a way that the present is not. And that difference, that asymmetry between past and present, is built into the fabric of reality itself. Let me show you what I mean. Start with something simple. You're sitting in a room. You see a coffee cup on the table. The cup is there, solid, physical. You can reach out and touch it. That's the present. Now think about the same cup 5 minutes ago. It was in the same spot. You saw it then too. But where is that version of the cup? Where is the cup from 5 minutes ago? Gone. Not moved. Not hidden. Gone. It doesn't exist anymore. The past version of the cup has been replaced by the present version, and you cannot access it. You cannot reach back and touch it. You cannot see it. The only thing you have is a memory of it, a representation, a model stored in your brain. Now here's the question. Why can you only access the present? Why is there this absolute wall between now and before? Physics doesn't obviously predict this. If you look at the fundamental laws, at Newton's laws, at quantum mechanics, at Maxwell's equations, time is symmetric. You can run the equations forward or backward. They work either way. A ball rolling down a hill obeys the same laws as a film of that ball played in reverse. Mathematically, there's no fundamental difference between past and future. The laws don't care which direction time flows. And yet, you do experience a direction. You age. You don't unage. Eggs break. They don't unbreak. Coffee cools. It doesn't spontaneously heat up. You remember the past. You don't remember the future. There's an asymmetry, a direction, an arrow of time. Where does it come from? The answer is entropy. Entropy is a measure of disorder, of how spread out energy is, of how many ways a system can be arranged. And there's a law, the second law of thermodynamics, that says entropy always increases. Not sometimes, not usually, always. In any closed system, disorder grows. Energy spreads out. Things fall apart. This is not a tendency. This is a law, the most fundamental law governing change in the universe. Why does entropy increase? Because there are vastly more disordered states than ordered states. If you drop a glass, it shatters into thousands of configurations. But there's only one configuration where it's intact. So statistically, almost every change leads toward higher entropy. Disorder is overwhelmingly more probable than order. And this is where the arrow of time comes from. Entropy increasing is why time has a direction. It's why you can scramble an egg, but not unscramble it. Why you can burn wood, but not unburn it. Why you age, but don't reverse. The flow of time, the sense that we're moving forward, is the universe moving from lower entropy to higher entropy. But here's the critical part. Entropy increasing is also why you can remember the past, but not the future. Think about what a memory is. A memory is a physical trace. It's a configuration of neurons in your brain, a pattern of connections, a set of chemical and electrical states that encode information about something that happened before. When an event occurs, it leaves an imprint. That imprint is the memory. Now ask, why do memories only point backward? Why don't you have memories of tomorrow? Because memories are low entropy structures that only form when entropy increases. Let me make this concrete. You see a coffee cup. Light bounces off the cup, enters your eye, hits your retina, triggers a cascade of neural activity, and that activity changes your brain. The change is the memory. The cup caused the memory. The memory is a trace of the cup. But here's the thing, that process increases entropy. Light scattered, energy dispersed, heat was generated, disorder increased. The memory formed because the universe moved toward higher entropy, and because entropy only increases in one direction, memories only form in one direction, backward, toward the past. You don't have memories of the future because the future hasn't left traces yet. The events haven't happened. The light hasn't scattered. The entropy hasn't increased. There's no imprint. There's no physical structure in your brain corresponding to tomorrow because tomorrow hasn't disturbed the universe yet. This is not a limitation of your brain. This is a structural feature of time itself. The past leaves traces. The future does not. The asymmetry is physical. And this is why the past feels different from the present. The present is direct. You are embedded in it. You are interacting with it. Photons are hitting your retinas right now. Sound waves are vibrating your eardrums right now. The present is a continuous causal connection between you and the world. But the past is gone. The only thing you have is the traces it left behind, the memory, the imprint. And here's where it gets stranger. Those traces are not stable. You think of memory as recording, like a video camera. You experience something, your brain saves it, and later you play it back. But that's not how memory works, not even close. Memory is reconstruction. Every time you remember something, your brain rebuilds it from fragments. It takes the pieces, the associations, the context, and assembles them into a coherent narrative. But the assembly is not perfect. It's influenced by your current state, your current beliefs, your current emotions. Each time you remember something, you're not accessing the original. You're creating a new version based on the last version you created. This has been tested. In experiments, people are shown an event. Later, they're asked about it, but the questions are leading. Did you see the broken glass? There was no broken glass. But when asked again later, many people remember seeing it. The memory changed, not because they're lying, because the brain reconstructed the memory using the suggestion as a piece of data. The memory incorporated the false information. This happens constantly. Every memory you have has been reconstructed dozens, hundreds, maybe thousands of times. Each reconstruction introduces small changes. Details fade, emotions shift, context blur. The memory drifts farther and farther from the original event. And this is why the past feels dreamlike, because it is dreamlike. It's not a recording. It's a story your brain tells itself, built from fragments, reshaped by time, influenced by everything that happened since. The farther back the memory, the more reconstructions it's been through, the more it's been smoothed and abstracted and distorted. Childhood memories are barely tethered to the original events. They're stories built on stories built on stories. And here's the part that breaks intuition. This is not a flaw. This is how memory has to work. Because your brain cannot store everything. The information is too vast. Every photon, every sound wave, every tactile sensation, every chemical signal, if you tried to store it all with perfect fidelity, your brain would need to be the size of the universe. Storage is expensive. Precision is expensive. Your brain evolved to store what's useful, not what's accurate. So it compresses, it abstracts, it discards details. It keeps the gist, the meaning, the pattern. And when you remember, it reconstructs from the gist. It fills in the gaps. It smooths over the noise. The result is not a faithful reproduction. It's an approximation, a useful approximation, but still an approximation. And approximations feel different from direct experience. They feel softer, less detailed, more interpretive, more like a story than like reality, which is exactly what memories are, stories. Narratives your brain constructs to make sense of the traces left behind by entropy increasing. Consider what happens when you try to remember something specific. Let's say what you had for lunch 3 Tuesdays ago. Can you recall it? Most people can't. Not with certainty. Maybe you remember the general pattern. You usually eat a sandwich on Tuesdays. So you assume you had a sandwich, but you're not remembering the actual event. You're inferring it from a pattern. Your brain didn't store that specific Tuesday because it wasn't important. It stored the pattern. And when you try to remember, you're generating a plausible reconstruction based on the pattern. Now think about something more significant. Your first day of school. You probably have a memory of it. But is it really a memory? Or is it a reconstruction built from photographs, stories your parents told you, general knowledge of what first days of school are like, and a few fragments of genuine experience. The truth is, you can't know. The original experience is gone. What remains is a blend of actual memory, inference, suggestion, and imagination. And your brain presents this blend as a unified memory. It feels like remembering, but it's closer to storytelling. This blending is not random. It serves a purpose. Your brain is optimizing for utility, not accuracy. It needs to predict the future, make decisions, navigate social situations. For these tasks, the gist is more useful than the details. Knowing that first days are usually scary is more valuable than remembering the exact layout of the classroom. So your brain keeps the gist and discards the details, and when it reconstructs, it uses the gist to generate details that are plausible, but not necessarily true. This is why eyewitness testimony is unreliable. People genuinely believe they remember what they saw, but studies show that memories of even dramatic events, like crimes, are easily contaminated. Show a witness a photo lineup, and their memory of the perpetrator's face shifts toward the faces they saw in the lineup. Ask leading questions, and the memory incorporates the suggestions. The witness isn't lying. Their brain is doing what brains do, reconstructing from fragments and incorporating new information into the reconstruction. And this process accelerates with time. Fresh memories are constrained by recent sensory input. The traces are strong, the details are still there, but as time passes, the constraints weaken. The traces degrade, the details fade, and the reconstructions become more and more abstract, more and more influenced by current beliefs, current emotions, current context. The memory drifts, it changes, it becomes something different from what actually happened. Now let's go deeper. Why does the present feel so real? Because the present is not a memory. The present is causal interaction. Right now, photons are hitting your eyes. Sound waves are vibrating your eardrums. Molecules are binding to receptors in your nose. Your brain is processing this information in real time. There's no reconstruction, no abstraction, no gap. You are embedded in the present. You are part of it. The present is happening to you. But the moment you try to think about the present, it's already the past. By the time you become aware of a sensation, it's over. The light that hit your retina a fraction of a second ago is gone. The sound wave that vibrated your eardrum has dissipated. What you experience as now is already a memory, a very recent memory, but still a memory. The present is not a moment, it's a process, a continuous flow of information updating your brain. And what you call now is the leading edge of that flow, the most recent update, the freshest memory. But it's still a memory, a trace of something that just happened. So in a sense, you never experience the present directly. You experience the immediate past, and the only reason it feels different from the distant past is because the traces are fresher. The reconstruction hasn't drifted yet. The details haven't faded. The memory is still sharp. But give it time. Wait a day. Wait a week. Wait a year. And that sharp memory will blur. It will soften. It will drift. It will become another dreamlike fragment. Not because something is wrong with your brain, because entropy keeps increasing, because the universe keeps moving forward, because the traces keep degrading. Here's another way to think about it. Imagine you're watching a river. The water right in front of you is clear. You can see the pebbles on the bottom. But farther downstream, the water is murky. Sediment has mixed in. Details are lost. You can still see the river, but you can't see the pebbles anymore. That's what time does to memory. The present is the clear water, the past is the murky water, and the farther back you look, the murkier it gets. And there's no way to reverse this. You can't unmurky the water. You can't unincrease entropy. You can't unfade the memory. The past is structurally inaccessible. You can only access the traces it left behind, and those traces degrade. There's something else worth considering. The way you experience time is not uniform. Some memories feel closer than they should. Some feel more distant. A traumatic event from 10 years ago might feel more vivid than breakfast this morning. An intensely joyful moment might remain sharp for decades. Why? Because emotional intensity affects encoding. When something important happens, your brain releases neurochemicals that strengthen the memory trace. The event gets marked as significant. More details get stored. More connections get made. And when you reconstruct that memory later, there's more material to work with. The reconstruction is richer, more detailed. It feels more real. But here's the twist. Emotional memories are not more accurate. They're more vivid. There's a difference. Vividness makes a memory feel true, but feeling true is not the same as being true. Studies on flashbulb memories, those intensely clear memories of shocking events, show that people are extremely confident in these memories. But when tested against objective records, the memories are often wrong. Details have changed, contexts have shifted, the vividness remains, but the accuracy does not. So even your most vivid memories, the ones that feel most real, are reconstructions. They feel solid because emotions strengthen the encoding, but they're still subject to the same degradation, the same drift, the same blending of fact and inference that affects all memories. The past feels dreamlike not because you didn't pay attention, but because the structure of time and the mechanics of memory make it impossible for the past to feel any other way. Think about sleep. Every night, you lose consciousness. For hours, you experience nothing, or rather you experience dreams, which are pure reconstruction, with no external input. Your brain generates experience from internal activity alone, and when you wake up, most of those dreams vanish. You might remember fragments, but the bulk of the experience is gone, completely gone, as if it never happened. Now ask yourself, why do waking memories persist longer than dreams? Both are neural activity. Both are patterns of firing neurons. The difference is that waking memories are anchored to external events. They have causal connections to the world. Dreams don't. Dreams are free-floating reconstructions with no external anchors, and without anchors they dissolve almost immediately. This reveals something crucial. Memory requires causation. The past persists in memory only because it caused physical changes in your brain, and those changes are themselves subject to the same entropic decay as everything else in the universe. The stronger the causal connection, the longer the memory lasts. Weak connections fade quickly. Strong connections fade slowly. But they all fade, because entropy always increases, because the universe does not preserve information indefinitely. Now here's the truly unsettling part. The present will become the past. The sharp, clear, vivid experience you're having right now will fade. It will blur. It will become dreamlike. In a year, this moment will feel distant. In 10 years, it will feel like a story. In 50 years, if you remember it at all, it will be a fragment, a feeling, a vague sense that something happened. And this is not optional. This is not a failure of attention or mindfulness. This is physics. This is entropy. This is the structure of time. The present is the only moment that feels real because it's the only moment where the traces are fresh. Everything else is reconstruction. Everything else is approximation. Everything else is story. So why does the past feel like a dream? Because it is a dream. Not in the sense that it didn't happen. It happened. But in the sense that you no longer have direct access to it. You have a story, a narrative, a reconstruction built from degraded traces in a brain that evolved to compress and abstract and discard details. The past is not a place you can visit. It's not stored somewhere waiting for you. The past is gone. The only thing that remains is the disturbance it left in the fabric of the present, the entropy it increased, the traces it left. And those traces are fading, always fading, because entropy keeps increasing, because time keeps moving forward, because the universe does not permit perfect preservation. And the present is not more real. It just feels more real because the traces haven't faded yet. But they will. They're fading right now. Even as you experience this moment, it's already slipping into the past, already becoming memory, already beginning the long drift toward dreamlike abstraction. This is the nature of time. This is the cost of entropy. The past recedes not because you're forgetting, but because the universe is moving forward. And you, embedded in that forward motion, can only hold on to fragments, traces, echoes of what once was as clear and immediate as this moment right now. Reality does not grant you perfect memory. It does not preserve the past in amber. It gives you the present, sharp and vivid, and then it takes it away, always forward, always increasing disorder, always fading into the murky distance. And that is not a limitation. That is the structure. That is how time works.